Good day, everybody. Welcome to Dental Voice Season 2 with Zyris. My name is Rolando Mia, and today we have a very, very special guest. When you look at Dental Voice, the purpose of this show is to hear directly from clinicians, understand the experiences they're having, understand the perspectives, and then get advice from them. Well, our special guest today is a fourth year dental student at UNC Adams School of Dental Medicine. Her name is Laura Sundmark, and really excited to spend some time with her. I've gotten to know her a little bit, and what an incredible story. Laura, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Awesome, and it's great. And by the way, thank you for joining us. So, what I'd like to do as we get into this is if you could share a little bit of your story of how you got into dental school and kind of what happened to get where you are today.
Sure. So I grew up in Minnesota, and I had a mentor that I started babysitting for, and nannying his kids really, really young. And he was a dentist and his wife was a pediatrician, and they decided to move their practice to North Carolina, and I was devastated. So I ended up packing my bags when I graduated from high school, and I moved across from Minnesota to North Carolina. I enrolled in a community college because I wanted to get my in-state tuition and try to do it smart, and not spend a ton of money as out of state. I transferred into UNC Asheville after that, and I got an undergrad in psychology. I was really interested in, having that patient connection, and I was thinking this through all the way because really I wanted to be a dentist since I was 8. So I moved out there. I started working in this practice, getting my prereqs for dental school. So I graduated high school in 2012. I graduated college in 2015 and started applying to dental school. And I had this all counted out on my fingers. It was going to take this many years, 4 years of dental school. Well, a surprise to me, you don't always get into dental school the first try or the second try. And it actually took me 3 years of applying, and I took the DAT 4 times before I got into dental school. So I actually had 23 rejections before I got into my dream school of UNC. So that was a little bit about like my journey getting in there.
Well,
Wasn't an
first of
easy
all, thank you
one,
for
but worth it. Sorry.
no. Thank you for sharing that. 23 rejections. First of all, I so admire the perseverance. I admire the kind of the fact that this is. Had you always been and wanted to be a dentist?
Yeah, like since I was 8 years old, I was really passionate. People called me Smiley. My mom was a nurse, and I hated when she left school or she left to go to work, and she was working nights, and I wanted her to just be with us. And so I didn't want to be in the hospital scene. I love taking care of people. I'm always the mom of my friend group, and so I was sitting in the dental office, and my dad was telling me about, I don't have to work holidays. I can still have come home and hang out with my family. And this was like at 8. And I remember going back, and from that day on, I was like, I will be a dentist. So
Not I want, I will be a
yeah.
dentist. Oh, well, thank you for sharing the story. It's amazing. What is it? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the fact that you've got such a passion and such commitment is incredible, and really, really appreciate that. And now you're a fourth year dental student, I believe. And
I am a
how is
fourth
that,
year.
how is that going for you?
So my fourth year started on Zoom. I ended third year on Zoom, and I started fourth year on Zoom. To be completely honest, it's a little tough. I want to be with my patients and seeing my patients, and I'm sure as a lot of people can relate, there's been a lot of points of uncertainty, and it's so fluid that when people call and my patients call and talk to me, I'm like, I'm so glad you called. I've been thinking of you. Or I've actually reached out to some of my patients and said, I haven't forgot about you. I don't have an answer for you, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. So, we want to be back with we as in my classmates and I know for sure, and myself, we want to be back with our patients and be working on them. And we've virtually been doing like CE courses on Zoom and learning and doing lectures. But in the fourth year, UNC at least has it scheduled, so we're pretty much full time just seeing patients and going on rotations out into the real world, and we're missing that. So it's a little difficult, to be honest.
Well, thank you. COVID really put a kibosh on a whole bunch of things, and when you look at the soaring cases, when you look at all the issues related, when you look at the uncertainty of COVID and what's going on, how has that kind of affected your perspective and kind of the way you're navigating through dental school?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that COVID has had some pros and some cons, definitely. We had it's obviously, like I said, we're not having patient care, so that's really hard. There's a lot of uncertainty, and everything we do in the dental school is going to be off of the epidemiology and the research and microbiologists and going with all that stuff, which is great. But that all takes time too. It all takes time to come out. It all takes time to get a whole army. We're a whole huge family that we need to get organized and put together in order to make things run and keep everybody safe. So, and as everybody knows, everybody's at different levels with COVID. Some people are scared. Some people are over it. Some people, there's a lot of different, but the reality of it is we have to take it how it is. And there's been a lot of positives too. It's given our school and our faculty and people time to, we transferred over to Epic right before at the start of the year. So it gave some time for, and we also changed over from scheduling our patients to have schedulers. And we had a lot of transitions. So the good thing is there's been a lot of time for administration and people to help come together and figure out the kinks without just throwing us in there. We're also implementing like a new curriculum, ACT curriculum at UNC. And which has been a huge change. And we probably weren't going to see a lot of those changes because it was going to start in 2021 when I graduate. But now they've been able to do some early implementation for them. And, so there is a lot of positives. There's going to be a lot of good things. Change is hard for anybody. So, like I said, there's pros and cons to both. I'm excited to get back in as much as I can. And I think it's going to be, next month. I go back to school on Monday. I fly from Minnesota down to North Carolina, and we start August 3rd. So very excited.
Well, awesome. I love the perspective. There's the crazy stuff, but then also there's good stuff, and the balance there I think is important. Are you personally concerned about, and do you feel maybe apprehensive, or are you okay with? Because you mentioned some people are over it, some people are really concerned. How do you feel about just the issue that this is out there?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that I think my feelings have been kind of fluid as much as it's changed as well. So I've kind of shifted around a little bit, and I have to remind myself to keep looking at the research and sort out the good news and different things. So I feel ready to go back. I'm confident in our school, and I'm confident that we will be in a safe environment. And I'm blessed because I'm not immunocompromised in a way that it would dramatically, my stakes are a little bit lower than some other people. So I don't personally fear. I fear for, the people that or patients that are immunocompromised or stuff like that. But I feel confident. I actually feel good about going back. I think that it's going to be okay. But it's, that's a hard question. I don't know if it's possible to answer exactly how I feel because it might be different tomorrow.
It's honest, and I love that. Yeah, it does. It kind of ebbs and flows. When you look at what we do at Dental Voice, the thing here is to try to separate reality from, speculation, fiction. For you, what's real? And then what have you discovered during the course of all of this that's, you're like, wait a minute, that I thought that was real and that's not, or actually this is a lot more meaningful, or this is real and this is not. Have you discovered anything like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. So as we know, the media says things and you have to sort through it and stuff like that. What I found interesting is that through UNC, we've been doing like a COVID reentry kind of thing. So Not only have we been talking amongst our group practice leaders or our little offices is now that what we have, but Harvard had made this program where you go through and you read, and everything has all the links and all the science that's supported with everything. So it's kind of like a workshop that we all went through and did, and we wrote papers on it. And I really enjoyed finding peer sources and facts, and it really helped me put things together and understand why there was delays and understand the governments and understand, different bureaucracies. And there was an interesting article that talked about they had to get something approved by snail mail in this whole thing. And it was like, they were like, what, snail mail? Like, this is 2020 and we are doing snail mail for approval in the middle of a pandemic. Like, so it's just, just trying to really understand. And then, and like I said, everybody's at different points. And I have brothers here with kids, and they're a little like, oh, well, you came from here and you got to get tested now. And I was like, I understand, but I have no symptoms and I'm healthy. And so there's just different perspectives. So it's been interesting to see. I love my brother, but he's not super educated in the healthcare field, and so he's like, Laura, you got to do this and you got to do this. And I'm like, no, Kyle, come on, let's read the facts. So again, going back to those facts, it's been really helpful. So that has helped. I really have enjoyed learning that stuff as much as we rolled our eyes at the program that we have to do. So.
Well, thank you for that. You're right. And the perspective also, again, that I resonate very strongly with that. In the whole COVID environment, this whole issue, it's funny. Prior to this, aerosols was something that happened in dentistry, or it happened and people were like, yeah, that's infection control. All of a sudden, aerosols are the biggest thing, and mostly because they potentially harbor the ability to transmit this disease to everybody. What's your view on that? Did you know much about aerosols, and how do you feel about that right now?
Yeah. I think we learned quite a bit about aerosols, and, every time that when we first started, we'd pick up the Cavitron and we would have to wear hair nets and have the high vac and everything. It's like, it looked like what a COVID world looks like now in a normal dental practice is kind of what we had to do in the dental school. As you know, everything is a little bit extra when you're in school, which is good. But they always talked about, over 7 feet and all these, so I think I learned a lot more during COVID about aerosols, which was good. I think it's great that we have isovacs at our school and we use them all the time, actually. So I love that, and it does make me feel a lot safer knowing that that's going to be our number one recommended use, other than doing an endo procedure, and we'll have that going, especially because of the lack of assistance that we have. I can't imagine putting a rubber dam in and having like the air, water, and not an assistant, and like a trampoline waiting to happen. If they already bounced 7 feet, how far are they going to go on a trampoline? So, but, and even aerosols to that point, just really having that in there is going to make, a huge difference. It makes me feel comfortable that we've already been using them and that we are going to be encouraged and enforced to use them throughout the procedures. And we get to, which is amazing. Like, we're lucky. I shouldn't say have to, we get to.
Well, thank you for that. It's when you look at, you mentioned earlier on, the 4th year at Adams at UNC is all hands-on. And because of kind of the quarantine, because of all the, the issues related to not understanding, you're not able to do the hands-on. So how are you getting there's a lot of didactic, there's a lot of presentation, but what about that hands-on component? How are you navigating through that right now?
Yeah.
You're working on your brother and his kid.
I wish. So that was a difficult thing, and we're all a little scared. So before I knew this, so I actually we left at the end of spring semester before our finals, which was in March, as you know. So at that point, I thought we were just going to have an extended spring break, kind of unsure. So I packed a small little suitcase and came home. Little did I know that I was going to be in Minnesota for a long time. So in the middle of it, I traveled kind of at the end of when things started opening up a little bit more, I traveled back to North Carolina. I got to see my boyfriend for a little bit, and then I also packed up a suitcase full of dental equipment. And when I say full, I couldn't decide what I needed. I didn't know how or why. I went on eBay and I bought a little straight handpiece because I was like, I need to practice. Like, I am such a hands-on learner that Zoom lectures only do so much for me. And I appreciate them so much because they have kept us, even hearing the language, doing things, learning, but I'm so hands-on. So I kid you not, when I say that I was up till 2 a.m. the night before my flight, weighing my suitcase with myself on the scale because it was so big and full of dental equipment. I mean, I had my articulators, I had my face bows, I had all my, we call it our red roll-ups, dental instruments. I brought home literally dental cement. I was like, I'll take impressions of my friends to try to, I was like, I just need to practice. I just need to get my hands working. So I actually spent a lot of time working on bite splints on some casts that I already had and working on occlusal guards, which is fun to keep my hands going. But then after that, school was actually amazing to send out us like Bennett Air handpieces, like high-speed handpieces. Right. So we could put those on our electric handpieces and do some crown preps and stuff. But then again, we don't have Dexter. So I'm sitting here like, all right, so I'm going to hold this here. And there's like, I took a video one day and there was like smoke blowing everywhere. There's no water or anything. There's plastic teeth. And if you guys can remember the smell of plastic teeth burning, like multiply it by 10. And that's what it was like. So, and like they'd overheat and then I'd be like, all right, well, I'll try prepping it at 50,000 RPMs. And, like, how can you do it? So it was really, great execution, great effort by our school. Or I should say great effort by our school, but the execution wasn't totally ideal. But you know what? I still had my hands moving and I was thinking about it and I tried and I'm looking forward to get back in there and we'll have sim lab to, get the rust off a little bit.
How, first of all, I love hearing about the experimentation. Again, I love how, regardless, you're going to do this and it's great. There are other dental students out there, fourth years, who are in the same boat. How do you keep a positive perspective on this? How do you maintain kind of the energy around it? What advice would you give people who are sitting there going, oh man, I don't know what advice would you give those folks?
I think something my grandpa always told me was you can't sweat the small stuff. And it's something that I try to think of. And there's like, this isn't small by any means, but you can't also fear things that you can't control. Like we have no control over what's going to happen and we can only take as much as whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And like, keeping positivity, like positivity is contagious. Negativity like really brings me down and I've always felt that way. So I'm always playing devil's advocate. I'm always trying to look at the other side of things. That's just kind of me. So I would encourage people to realize that like, anxiety is a hard thing and fearing over things is really hard and everybody sits with it different. But I would just, try to not be so bogged down on the things you can't control and just, have trust that things will work out and we're going to do the best we can. And yes, we're going to have to kick it into high drive and there might be some late nights again in fourth year like there was in first and second, re-going over things and relearning and getting ourselves prepared. But, this is what we have to do to be the best clinicians we can. And like, that's kind of my mantra is like when I'm comparing, well, I try not to compare, but we all do it as dental students. But when I look at other people and different things, it's just like, Laura, are you doing everything you can to be the best dentist you can be someday? Like, are you staying after hours and working hard? Are you doing everything to be that best dentist? And I think that's really what it comes down to is I'm just trying to do the best I can to be a dentist.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Have you had mentors or who do you look to? You mentioned you had someone who had brought you there, but with regard to chapel and all that, any people that you've been looking to or who've been providing?
Yeah. Mentorship is a beautiful thing. And I would not be where I am without, his name is Dr. Mark Clive, is who I followed from Minnesota down there. And he has a practice in Black Mountain, North Carolina right now. And also Sherry Kay, she works through She does like dental coaching and different things. She was a hygienist and now she speaks all over, and they're both faculty in Pankey. So, I've had a lot of, I've looked through the lens of Pankey for a while, and I really enjoy that. But, there's been people like Dr. Hyman at our school who introduced us together, which was great.
You mean this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Hyman is awesome.
But like there's some people at school that, have really, Dr. Keith Phillips he came into the school recently and put me under his arm and has always been like, I'm here for you. There's some people that are just phenomenal in our school and just really want the best for us. So I'm so grateful for, all of my mentors all around. And I, like I said, there's just so much, there's so much you can get out of a mentorship both ways. So I would really encourage, if anybody feels like they don't have a mentee, then open yourself up. And if you don't have a mentor, I would really encourage you to get out there and find a mentor. And, I saw something the other day, and your mentor doesn't necessarily, it helps if they are a person that you can communicate with and stuff, but there's a lot of videos out there these days and a lot of motivational talks. Like, you don't have to necessarily know your mentor by person. And I think that's like pretty cool. My friend Jermaine, his goes by Dr. MBA on Instagram and stuff, but he, kind of talked about that the other day and saying, you don't have to know your mentor. You can like look up to people and learn lessons and strive to be amazing like these people in the world that have already laid the footsteps. So I think that's important too.
That is cool. I love the context around you don't have to know your mentor, because people who are just wonderful can still inspire you. And that's a great message. It's a great sentiment to send out to people, especially in times when people don't feel, or maybe they don't communicate as well. Now, first of all, I love your energy. I love how you have this, you have a I'm going to get this done kind of perspective. Is it always like that? Do you ever get bummed out, or what bums you out, or is there anything that bums you out?
That's a good question. I've learned a lot about balance in dental school. I used to be a big people pleaser all the time, and I still am. I'm recovering, but I still am. So I had a really hard time saying no to people, and I really would give the shirt off my back for a lot of people. And I think, sometimes you have to be careful with that. And I think what bums me out or sometimes gets me low are situations like that when you try your best to be your best and, it's taken for granted or different things. So yeah, I guess that bums me out. But also there's that. And then I think if I don't keep myself healthy and balanced with working out and eating right, I just get too stressed and too overloaded. I try saying yes to too many things. I fill my plate higher than I can, conquer it. And so that brings me down for sure. But I've learned, like I said, I'm growing with it. I've gotten better with it. So I think that's where I'm at with that. Does that answer your question?
I'm a recovering people pleaser. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to be going through, and you're graduating in May, I believe, right?
May 7th is the hope.
Wow. How does that feel? What's kind of going through your head with regard to, holy cow, 4 years. I tried so hard to get in here. I finally got in. Now I'm finishing. What's the sentiment? And think about it. You're entering into a dental environment with COVID. That wasn't even a twinkle in anybody's eye. So, a year ago. So as you graduate, as you approach graduation, and you're, what prospects lie? How does the context of COVID play in that, or does it?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rolando. I think that it's, to be honest, it's scary. It is scary. That's the scary part. I feel really confident in my hand skills. I feel that I can go out and I can technically do a lot in dentistry. Like, I do feel really I feel good about that. I don't at this point especially with this long gap, I don't feel extremely confident in like the experience of all of these things that I've learned, whether it's implant restorations, like some of these things I haven't done a lot of, dentures, partials, like I've done numerous crowns and fixed and stuff like that, but getting into the workflow, and I want to be well-rounded enough to be attractive coming out of dental school and wanting to work with somebody and hopefully, own someday. So to me, like, I wanted to get as much endo as I could. I wanted to get as much pros as I could. I wanted to do, I wanted everything to have my like broad scope and just get it like at least a baseline and everything. And as we know, we're forever learners, and I'm going to be learning a lot, but it's scary to know that we've had 4+ months, going on more, that has been taken from that experience. And so it is scary. And there's a lot of people in UNC that go to specialize, and there's a lot of people that will be in GPRs or, but I am ready to get out in the real world. I'm ready to work. So yes, it's scary. My hopes are that people will understand, especially with this time of COVID, that there will need to be a little bit more grace, and it might need to be an environment that they have to be a little bit more of a teacher than they would maybe like or expect right away, because I think that we're all capable, but it's a little nerve-wracking.
I appreciate that, and yeah, well, I for one, I feel very encouraged that you are going to be going in there based on everything, and I think it's great. If you were to kind of sum up, and if you were to, people are going to be, other clinicians are going to be watching this, dentists, hygienists, dental assistants, other students, patients. What is the message that you'd like to get out to those folks right now with regard to just kind of the future of dentistry? Because you effectively represent the future of dentistry in our country. What message would you like to get out to them with regard to that? What would you like to say to them?
Wow, that's a great question. You know what? Like I said kind of before, I'll kind of stick to the same thing. Don't fear. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't fear what you can't control. And, I think ask good questions. Diminish those fears with good questions. Keep asking the questions that you need. If you need to feel better about things, keep asking those questions. Whether it's you're a dentist and you need to know something about the potential hiree, or if you're an assistant and you're not sure about something and you need to ask your doc, if you're a hygienist and you don't feel comfortable with something, ask those questions. Like, yes, sometimes it's uncomfortable and it's hard, but ask them. If you're a dental student, ask your administration how they're going to keep you safe. I think it's really important that we become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's something Sherry Kay has always told me too. One of my mentors is, it's okay to be uncomfortable with it. But, I think it's really important to ask those questions. So, and I would really just encourage people, ask questions, don't sweat the small stuff, and know that it will all work out.
I love that. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Don't sweat the small stuff. That's really, ask questions. And yeah, I think at times we fear that maybe we can't ask the questions. And the message you're giving out is that it's always okay to ask the questions. Is that right?
There's never a dumb question, as they say. And it's true. I ask questions all the time. I'm partially one of those. I'm sure my classmates watching this, if anybody is, they'll be like, yep, she asks a lot of questions. I'm one of those.
Yep.
I ask a lot of questions, but, and I don't, I'm paying for my education, and I really want to ask questions that I need to ask too. So there's a lot.
That is awesome. You mentioned what message you want to give to your classmates who are going to watch this.
I hope they don't watch it. I hope they got bored and logged off already, so it's okay. No, I honestly, to my classmates, I am just super happy that I've had this experience with them, and I'm going to miss everybody in the dental school. Like you asked me before, that is one thing. I'm going to miss faculty and staff and my mentors and people in the dental school so much. And hopefully one day I will be able to give back and teach in one fashion or another, or speak or something. But I'm forever grateful that I finally got into UNC after a bajillion rejections. And I'm glad that I finally got an interview, and there were some people that really believed in me. And, although I didn't have the best DAT scores, they saw through it, and now they see that I, have good hand skills, and I can fight through the rigor of testing that I never liked. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for taking the time. I know that you're busy. I know that you've got so much to do. I mean, you were up, you actually set an alarm to meet with me just to get all this done. And I love that fact. I want to personally thank Dr. Mark Hyman, because he's the one who introduced us. And I think he's great. He's a fantastic person. And you mentioned him over there. I think just purely from the message you're giving out, that this is great, and we really appreciate that you're here, and want to wish you luck on the next several months here, and go kick some butt, and please be safe. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for doing this, and it's great. At some point here, when you've graduated and you've kind of settled somewhere, would you be willing to come back and join us, and then kind of share kind of where you've gone to and
Yes, of
what's
course. And I hope in person too someday we'll have to meet, whether it's at a conference or something,
Absolutely.
So.
Well, if you're ever in Santa Barbara, if you ever find yourself, you need to let us know, because you need to come meet the team and all that. So, but awesome.
Thank you guys for this wonderful opportunity. It is people like you that really, this is the start. I don't think I've ever done a national webinar before, so I can mark this as a first of many, hopefully someday in the years to come. But, this is special to me, so I do appreciate it. And thanks for having me on today.
I love that. I hope no one's watching. Not gonna happen.
Where I'm missing a Zoom session right now. So if she ends up watching this, I'm sorry, Dr. Uyan.
You blew up a Zoom session for this. Oh no.
It's okay though. It's okay. I'm sure it'll be okay. I can rewatch it.
Awesome. So first of all, those of you who are watching here, those of you who are going to watch this, thank you so much to Laura Sundmark, Dr. Laura, who's going to be graduating in May. If you're looking for a good dentist, there you go. The best way to catch you, I can see it down there. If people have questions for you, is it your?
That's my Instagram handle. So the Smiling Dental Student. That you can send me a message on there, on Facebook. I'm sure this will be linked to Facebook. You can send me a message on there, or you can reach me at email. It's my full name, so Laura Sundmark, all in one, @gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending time, and thank you, Laura, for hanging out with us. If you like the content of this, please share it, forward it, show everybody so that they watch Laura. So it'd be pretty cool. If you have any other questions for us, or if there are things that you'd like, please let me know. Have a great rest of your week, Laura, and thank you for joining, and please be safe.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.